My name is, did I say that already? I don't even know. I'm nervous. My name is Linda McKnight, and I'm the chairperson for the forum.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Linda. My name is Kimberly. I work for the Hayes Free Press. I will be your moderator for today's forum. With me, I have Miss Tanya in the white shirt. She will be acting as our participation coordinator and timekeep. Alongside her, we also have Shauna. Shauna will be acting as our Zoom participation coordinator. And she will be listed in the Zoom chat as HFP note taker. Unfortunately, I believe the chat is down. We'll talk more about that in just a second. And we also have a reporter, Miss Brittany. I think you've seen her face around. She's been involved, and she will be reporting on this forum. We are here as an independent third party, and we are here to ensure that this forum is run with neutrality and impartiality at every turn. Shortly, we will be giving each candidate 6 minutes in which to speak. Each candidate has been given the same guidelines and the topics to address within their 6 minutes. Our timekeep will be indicating the time to the candidate and let them know when they have 1 minute left, 30 seconds left, and when their time is finished. Candidates will not be permitted to run over the allotted time. There will be an opportunity for members of the community to ask questions directly, both here in person and in the Zoom chat. Please note the index cards that we've passed out. There's also some here on the tables. There are some in the back. If you need an index card, just holler and we'll get one out to you. Simply write your questions on there, on the index cards, and turn it into Tanya. For the Zoom audience, since the chat is down, please directly text Hayes Free Press. Again, these questions will not be seen by anyone at the City of Hayes. It is going directly to a completely neutral third party. Our phone number to text is 361-920-9788, and it's also listed right here. All right. After the initial candidate statements, we will then take a small break to compile these questions together. We will not accept any questions submitted after, 150. I think we're going to push that to 155. Our participation coordinators will then group related questions into a cohesive manner. This will ensure that we are not asking duplicate questions, that we are also addressing the topics of most interest to the community, and that we are setting personal questions to the side. Questions that are inappropriate for the branch of government involved in today's forum will be set to the side. These compiled questions will be asked to each candidate in the reference race. Candidates will have 2 minutes each to respond to the question. At no time will verbal questions be permitted. Any outbursts will not be tolerated, and we will ask you to leave. All questions will be asked by me, your moderator. And so we're just going to get started with opening. We're going to start with the mayor race. Billy Mayfies, you're up first.
All right. Everyone, again, my name is Billy Mayfies, running for mayor. Appreciate you all coming out to support us, all these candidates here. Everyone, I'm sure they'll do a fine job, whoever's elected, right? Again, this is an open election, and it's up to the city to decide who is your new council. So I was born and raised in Utah, went to school there, great place to live, but out of college, I decided I need something different. So I moved to Las Vegas with my construction degree. So I graduated from a small school called Weber State. Beginning, didn't know what I wanted to do. I was doing odd jobs here and there. Found my friend framing homes, and that's kind of how I got started in the construction industry. So I spent a couple years there, then economy died, right? So that was pretty bad. Didn't know what I was going to do. So thought I was going to move to Texas. Had some family in McKinney who just relocated to Kyle now. My sister, she's out here supporting from Utah, just hanging out, taking in the nice spring that we have here. So I've been in construction and development for 15 years. I work for a company called Swinnerton. Last year we hit about $7 billion between our 20 offices. And Texas is a huge market for us. So Central Texas, as you all can see, is huge with growth and development, a bunch of companies coming in, a bunch of people moving in. So one of the things we need to do is just make sure we're protected and we grow the city well in a logical manner. So in my position where I'm at, daily I interact with many different developers from all across the country, California, New York, Florida, and we look at what they're trying to do here, help them with upfront budgeting, and just make sure that their projects are viable. Not to say that we're getting really involved with it, we're just kind of giving them guidelines. So that's kind of my background. So I am qualified to run for this position, and why run? So why run for this position? Well, again, we are a small community, and I feel with what topics that we have on hand with our development with Milestone, the water well, our aging infrastructure, I deal with a lot of this on a daily basis. So I have a lot of resources within my company and outside my company. I know a lot of people that can help as resources that I could bounce off. But of course, that's all in tandem with the council, right? And ultimately, at the end of the day, it's the people here that make the decisions. So I don't work for myself. I work for everyone, and that's what I do best. Is I listen with a purpose, and I take action depending on what we need to do. So again, we'll prioritize what we need to do and make sure that we knock things out one by one. So one of the questions that we have here is, how have I been volunteering here or been involved in the community? Well, honestly, we just moved here last year in June, so we haven't had that much time to volunteer or get really engaged with the community. But, I know that we could probably get some things together. Trash has been an issue, right? So maybe a community cleanup. I know that we've been doing some potlucks or get-togethers, so maybe getting some of those together and bringing our community together so we can get to know each other. I certainly don't know a lot of you on the community. I've met some great people here. I've heard their stories, but I'd love to hear everyone else's story too. So outside of our community, I volunteer with various groups, Meals on Wheels, Caritas House, the Austin Resource for the Homeless, and Central Bank. So I try to be involved as much as I can. So addressing our infrastructure and funding, well, again, we are a small community, right? So that's always going to be an issue for us. We don't have a lot of means and methods to really upkeep that. Everything's very limited. Everything's very old. So, just being smart fiscally, financially, and just making sure we have the right budgets in the right areas, and just making sure we're very cognizant of what we're doing with our time, right? Everyone's time is very important, and our money. So again, it's hard to do that when we don't have streams of income. We're not Austin, we're not Round Rock, we're not Leander. Businesses aren't flocking to the city. So 3 to 4 issues, right? Milestone, water well, generators, audits, road infrastructures, and lastly, transparency with our community. Absolutely. The community is our city lifeline. So whatever we can do needs to come from the city. So if you want to be involved, you need to be involved. We can't do much without your engagement. And whether it's requesting information from us directly, city manager, talking to the council members, it's really up to the community, because we can't do much without your support, right? We are here for everyone in this room, everyone who's not in this room. So, yep, that's it. So, thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayfies. And now we have Lydia Bryan Valdez.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here today. I greatly appreciate everyone's attendance today. May I stop for a moment? Do I have a start time? Now? I was at this podium a year ago this week. I was appointed to the council April 12th of last year. I came forward because of the developmental agreement, because of several issues that we've had in our city, and felt that now's the time to speak up and participate and have our voices heard. I've represented the city to the best of my ability in the last 12 months. I've never missed a meeting. I have been vocal about the things that I feel are in the best interests of the city. I've met with experts in many fields. I've served on 3 committees. I've never missed a council meeting. I've served on 3 committees: internal budget. We did internal budget, Walters Milestone Southwest Negotiations Committee, and internal records review. In April, when I began my service, it was a huge alarm to me that was sounded off. I've worked for the state for 16 years. Prior to that, I was in medical management, commercial banking. I understand the importance of being fiscally sound. I was shocked to learn that our city had not been audited in 4 years. We were showing the city to be in the red. We have a current agreement with the Milestone Development. It's not favorable to the city. I've spent a lot of attention and time in my efforts in addressing that. I am a native Texan. I have many hats. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a grandma. It's my favorite role, don't tell the kids. And also I've been a government employee for many years. I'm a graduate of St. Edward's University, Catholic University, and the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley. I'm a proud South Texas native, and I'm even prouder to be a Texan. When Tony and I, Mr. Valdez, my better half over here, came to the city of Hays, we fell in love with it day one. This is what we wanted to do, so we wanted to be part of. Everything about this city is amazing. We have wonderful folks here. Everyone loves their city. We have a close-knit community. We found out even more so proven during our pandemic, where we had neighbors helping neighbors. Everyone has been so kind and helpful to one another. It's what we want to be part of, and that's what we want to protect. I meet all qualifications and criteria to serve on the council and to serve as mayor if elected. I'm a registered voter. I never miss an opportunity to vote, and I don't miss an opportunity to come to council and to participate. I've always mentioned to my children, showing up is half the battle. If you don't show up, you've already spoken, that it just doesn't matter. Why do I want to be on city council? For several reasons. Very important, and most importantly, to continue the way of life that we have. Our pioneer families that came here to this city and established the city and incorporated this city set up something that's amazing. We have a gem. Someone asked me recently, describe your city. It's a honeypot. It's beautiful. People will still say, where do you live? In the city of Hays. Where's that? I said, come on over. It's amazing. Then they'll say, do you have land for sale there? Can I come? I want to be part of it. So many people want to be part of it. We want it to be what we've had for so many years, generational households to raise your family, live in the country, fly your kite, have your pets, raise your chickens, have a garden, and be kind to one another and help your neighbors when they're needed. And we've been active in our community since day one. We tried to meet the neighbors, we came to potluck, we've associated with everyone, we've tried to extend a hand where we can, and shown an interest, of course, in the community. How would I address our infrastructure and funding, and how should the county city council account for spending and audits? Number one, and most importantly, we have funds in our account, but we have not been audited. We must be audited. We must be accountable. We must know where our funds are going to be spent. If I get an annual increase, it's not how much I make, it's how much I save. Where am I spending the money? What are we doing with those funds? How are we gonna make every dollar count? In this city, we don't know where those dollars are. We have not been audited. It's very important to know where your money is, where your dollars, how are they being spent? And I work as part of the government, requests for proposals, requests for bidding, and making sure that we have parity and fairness in our dealings is very important. To prioritize the top 3 issues for our city, if I could, I'd say water, water, water. I'm going to add some more. But until you're served a glass of sand or sludge in a bowl to feed your family, we will not understand the importance of water. We're down to one well. Other question, why is our well still broken after 2.5 years? We have a couple of $1 million sitting in the bank and a broken well. If that well should go down, we're gonna truck in water. Very important. Top 3 issues, water, 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 but also transparency. The milestone agreement has to be renegotiated. It's very important to protect our interest. And do I believe that council members should show transparency? Absolutely, without a shower of a doubt. Your city, your money, your time. This is our home. We need to protect it. I personally do not want a wastewater system behind us. They say that bleach is acceptable for human contact. So was Agent Orange. So was talcum powder. So were all these other things. I don't want to breathe it in. I don't want for my next generation to breathe it in. If we can have city provided, if in Milestone we can have water provided by the city, that would be the best case scenario. If we cannot, then we need to protect our interests and protect everyone for generations to come. I'm not going anywhere. My family is here to stay. We all need to take care of our city. Thank you.
All right, now we're moving on to place 2. Our first speaker is Thomas Lemon.
Hello, everybody. My name is Thomas Lemon, and I'm running for City Council, Place 2. We moved here in our home in this neighborhood in 1979. I liked that it was rural, quiet, safe, and affordable. My father-in-law's always told me that it was a good investment, and he was right. But I think that he would have been surprised that it took 42 years before he was right. My wife and Teresa and I have always enjoyed our property. We have put a lot of labor and money into our home and property so that we could grow as our family grew. We enjoy gardening, also taking pride in our homestead. We really benefit that our children have chosen to stay and remain in the Austin area and visit us on a weekly basis. I consider myself lucky that we chose this neighborhood and we're a part of Buda since the 1970s. I think that my background in construction as a construction superintendent and project manager for 30 years gives me an experience that it would be helpful if I serve on the city council. I had a lot of responsibility to ensure that a building was built as it was designed, but I also spent I spent a lot of time working with the subcontractors and owners in the meetings. I met with the city inspectors and to meet code requirements and architects also. At one time in my career, I also taught blueprint reading and entry-level carpentries at ACC to help develop more skilled laborers on the job site. I want to serve the city council to help protect that we enjoy and find a balance that preserves our neighborhood and the development issues of growth that we are facing. Since retirement, I've been a volunteer in the Buda Meals on Wheels program. I have enjoyed the contact with the seniors and that we deliver meals, and I feel that it's an important community project to assist those who are on limited income. I have also cleaned up trash along McKinnon Loop, where it has become a dumping ground for unwanted appliances, a lot of beer cans, bottles, and home trash. I recently volunteered to be on the City of Hayes Budget Committee. During that time, I became aware of our well issues and surrounding development issues that really impact our homes and our quality of life. This led me to begin attending city council meetings so I could learn more about these issues. I'm working to better understand what our infrastructure needs are now and the cost that would be involved. To do this, I need to know what has been spent in the past so I can have a basis as the council works on the current issues of a new well, road repairs, drainage issues. For me to understand and help offer solutions to issues, I think that both the council and the citizens need to be able to easily access accounting information for our city. I think that a balance sheet needs to be presented each quarter so that we can stay up to date on income and expenses. I believe that a yearly audit needs to be done by a CPA that is licensed in government audits and to ensure that we have an audit that we can only rely on when making infrastructure decisions. To me, the most important issue facing our city is updating and taking care of our water system, including the new well and water system. My next concern is reviewing the Hayes Commons project and proposed development on 1626 perimeter. Both will heavily impact our city and the quality of our lives. I moved here to avoid noise, traffic, and city lighting, and it's important that development is not allowed to impact us in a negative way. It is impossible to stop growth and development, but we can carefully make a choice about what we want to have as our neighbor. Our goal should be transparency with members of our city. It will lead to the healthier functioning city council and encourage citizens to participate in the decision-making process that affect our homes, and their homes. I think that citizens should have every opportunity to educate themselves about what is happening, and it's the job of the council to continue to create new and better ways to share information. I think that the website should be updated to include current news and could include a calendar, environmental concerns such as live oak disease, which is back in our city again, and prevention, spread and prevention, budget and reports, monthly agendas, and other information. I thank you very much, and I would love to serve you as a city council.
Thank you, Thomas. Next up, we have Glenelle Strawn.
Hello, everyone. I too want to thank everyone for being here today. I was born and grew up in Houston, and I attended and graduated from Baylor University, Siccum Bears, with a degree in social work. I've been married to Terry for almost 11 years, and between the two of us, we have 5 grown children and 2 grandchildren. My faith is of primary importance to me, and I try to live my life according to its teachings. I have lived in Hays County since 1987, and when getting ready to purchase a home in 1994, I wanted to stay in Hays County in order to raise my children in a small town with a safe atmosphere. I didn't even know that the city of Hays was out here. I was just driving one day and came across a house that I was able to buy. And so the city of Hays has been that for us, a safe place to raise my children. I retired, I was employed with the Texas Health and Human Services Commission for 38 years and retired in 2019. I worked in the agency's state office as a policy specialist for the Medicaid cash assistance and food benefits programs. And so my job duties included analyzing federal and state regulations, leading project groups to implement policy changes mandated by the legislation, researching federal and state regulations, and responding to requests from legislators, agency staff, and people served by the programs. I meet all of the required qualifications to run for city council. And there's several reasons I'd like to serve on the city council. I feel like I owe it to the city and its residents who have been good to me and my family since we moved here almost 28 years ago. As a single mom raising my children and working, and also after they were grown, working long hours and commuting, I didn't have time to serve and to be involved on the city council, but now I do. And so but I too, like others have expressed, I'm grateful to those who've gone before us by having the forethought to incorporate our neighborhood into a city, and then those who have served as mayors and city council persons. I feel that my experience would be beneficial in performing the duties of a council member. And lastly, I would like to do my part to bring a sense of professionalism and respectfulness to the council meetings. I've been attending council meetings consistently for about the last 10 months, and I've observed some council members and a couple of candidates be unprofessional and disrespectful in their conduct. You know, some examples, making disparaging remarks against residents, homeowners, council members, city staff, talking over or down to other people, and questioning others' character. Some of the ways I've been involved in the city include attending council meetings, serving on the Financial Records Review and an internal committee, participating in recent community cleanup and picking up trash during my walks, and assisting with putting up city street signs and tearing down the old City Hall sign. We've got a new one, it's beautiful, isn't it? With my fellow council members, if elected, I would address our infrastructure by prioritizing the current needs and working on those items. And I feel too, while prioritizing and working on those, we also need concurrently to be addressing revenue streams to fund the city's infrastructure needs. City spending should be accounted for in accordance with the budget and the procedures in place to monitor spending. If an emergency arises that cannot be covered in the current budget, the city would need to consider using funds in the city's savings. In regards to yearly audits, a prompt should be put in place to remind the council to begin the audit process. Some of the, most common issues that I've seen addressed would be the water. Like most people have said, that is top priority. And as Lydia said, that should almost be the only one right at first. We need additional revenue streams for the city. And we also need to be working diligently on the Milestone and Hayes Common Development Agreement to make sure the best interest of the city is served. And then administrative needs, such as city websites, making sure our city hall's taking care of those types of things. And there's been some other infrastructure needs mentioned in city council, but not really addressed in depth, and those include drainage and road issues. And like everyone else, I believe that council members should show transparency with the members of the community. Currently, the business of the city is open to all who want to know. They can attend council meetings and reach out to council members or city staff for information. Many of our residents are unable to be involved closely with the city business due to work, family, or other responsibilities. So one way that I would help in that transparency issue is I walk the neighborhood. I would take time to talk with residents, listen to their concerns, and seek their input on city decisions. Several of our current council members have vocalized the need for transparency and ethics. However, at the most recent council meeting, given the opportunity to display their commitment to these values, several members supported tabling a motion until after the election, an agenda item related to conflict of interest and possible ethics questions. And thank you again for coming today, and I appreciate your support.
All right, thank you, Glenelle. We are moving on to place 3. We are moving on to place 3, Tony Valdez.
Hello, good afternoon. Glad everybody could show up for the meeting. Tell you about myself. My name is Tony Valdez. I'm a professional licensed engineer. I retired from TxDOT 28 years and currently working for Travis County and going on 14 years. And I'm my senior engineer, project manager, handling roadway construction and hydraulics and drainage issues. And I served as, held a certification of floodplain manager for many years when I was working for the state. So that's my background, and I have 7 boys, 1 girl, and a bunch of grandkids, 2 goats, 4 chickens, and 3 dogs. And I like to go fishing when I can. And as far as, let me see here, my qualifications, I'm qualified to run, and I won't go over all the issues, but I'm qualified. I'll go bore you to death with all that. And my volunteer, I've been coming to council meetings and providing my feedback and input into items that they're engineering related and giving my professional opinion on how it should be done. And I have been working with our city engineer and collaborating with him and letting me know how to proceed on certain items or what to present to the council. Thank you. Okay, for infrastructure funding and priorities, I mean, we just have to make a list of what roadways are in bad shape and the drainage systems are in there, make a priority from good to worst, and put them in line and do them by phases that we go on. And I will be an asset to the city council and evaluating any contract bids and managing any items on that issues. And the other, okay, the three items or major items frequently discussed in the council meetings. One of the well is very important. And I collaborated with the city engineer to present the three options to the council, and they're proceeding accordingly. And the other item would be the audit, the funding. Where is the money? Where does it go? Where does it spend? And creating a budget that we know where our income is coming from and how is it going out. And the other issue would be the new development of Walters. I mean, I handle developer projects with the Travis County, and I handle developer projects when I was working for the state. I know how to handle developers, contractors, and one of my projects that I have is 1626. I was the project manager for design effort on that project with RCP consultant firm. I managed that project. It's a $12 million project. And TxDOT took it over at construction, but I still have oversight over the project concerning change orders that the county has to pay for it. So I review all that, and we have meetings, construction meetings weekly. Other projects that I handle, over $50 million worth of project currently on that I'm handling other projects with Travis County. So my experience in engineering would be a great benefit to the city if elected. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Tony. Our next candidate is Richard Gibbons.
I'm Richard Gibbons. I think I've lived here 15 years. You have to ask my wife, she'll tell you, but something like that. I have an undergraduate degree from the University of Houston. I also have a formal education in accounting. I'm currently serving as a council member. I meet all the requirements in order to be a council member. The reason that I am running for council is we have some systemic issues within the city that need to be addressed. We have an aging water system. Our roads need attention, and drainage is an issue. And those issues have been ignored for a long time by previous councils, and so I'm here to try and make a difference. When I say we have a systemic issue within the city, our revenues and our expenses equal. Problem is you have infrastructure issues that are wearing out and they're expensive. Ms. Valdez pointed out we have a well that's down. Hundreds of thousands of dollars to fix that. We don't have extra money in the budget to do that because the previous councils have not managed the revenues of the city. So we need to address those things. So we need to find a way to increase the revenue of the city in order to fix the aging infrastructure of this city. So that would be priority for me as a council member. Unfortunately, moving forward, top three issues that I think the city needs to address would be our aging water infrastructure. We already know one well is down. The rest of the water infrastructure is just as old as that well. We have streets. If you've driven down Live Oak, you've seen the problems on there. We've done a little bit of paving. Paving's really expensive, right? And if it rains a lot, it floods. So we have drainage issues. Those are the things we need to address. Unfortunately, your current council is not real interested in talking about all of those things. When I brought up the aging water infrastructure, they voted to table any discussion of the water infrastructure other than the current well that we're trying to fix. So I was the lone dissenting vote saying, hey, these are things we need to address. All right? And then the top three issues that we tend to see a lot of things at council that aren't, they're akin to rearranging the chairs on the Titanic. Hey, we need to fix our website. We need to add more stuff to our website. Great, we can add more stuff to the website as the city goes bankrupt. Hey, we needed to change the way our minutes are written. We want them written this way rather than that way. Great. We'll fix the minutes while the city goes bankrupt. And as Ms. Valdez says, you'll have a glass of sand to drink, right? Oh, we need to fix the Hayes Happenings newsletter, but we can't talk about ethical issues, right? So the council tends to focus. We passed a resolution in support of Ukraine rather than talking about fixing our roads or working on the water system in the city, or even a water rate study. So those are the big issues that I think our city faces, and is the reason that I'm here and running for council. So I'm Richard Gibbons, and I'd appreciate your vote.
Thank you so much for everyone speaking. We are going to take another 5 minutes to allow some additional questions to come in. We are shutting it off at 1:50. No more questions will be taken past 1:50. We want it to be fair. So then that'll give us another 5 minutes to compile likewise questions together. Make sure there's no repeats, and then we're going to jump back into it, and we're going to alternate speaking order. I don't need it.
It runs right to the camera.
Oh, well, then I'm sorry.
It's my audio feed.
I'm so sorry. Okay, welcome back, guys. We have finished our break. We have taken about 20 questions, and we've compiled it into 6 very strong questions, okay? Each speaker, again, is going to have 2 minutes to speak. We will give you a 30-second warning when you have 30 seconds left. I will leave the current question, on the podium for you to refer to as you're speaking. And we are going to go in the same order, Mayor, place 2, place 3, but we will be switching order of speakers each time to ensure neutrality. So, Mayor, spot first. Here's the first question. Will you ensure that the City of Hayes will have a proper audit? Are you aware of any issues within city records of finances? This first question goes to Lydia Bryan Valdez.
Thank you. And may I have the question?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So the question is, will you ensure that the City of Hayes will have a proper audit? Absolutely. First thing we're going to do, repost the RFP, have an audit team come in, select years to audit at random, and go forward from there. The money has to be accounted for. We're going to also, and I would recommend policies and procedures. I've asked for lessons learned, succession planning, rules, regs, things like that, a welcome packet for people who come to serve. This is a service. I work for state government, I waived my nominal fee that I would normally receive a small check every month or what have you. I waived that fee because I work for state government. I would make sure that audit primary. Where's the money? How's it spending? We need to be good stewards of your money. Absolutely good stewards of your money. And are you aware of any issues within city records of finances? Where should I start? The list is long. And I will mention, when I first became party to this and accepted also the Mayor Pro Tem position, when I started, I always think of that scene from the Jaws movie. We're gonna need a bigger boat. We're gonna need a bigger boat. We have systemic issues. We have problems to no end right now. There are solutions that we can do with feedback, with monitoring, with unity. We can do this. I work for the government. I'm a paralegal. I work on a legal team for years. I was educated in part by the state by George Washington School of Law on contracts. We currently have a bad contract. We're going to start with that. Water's life. We need to fix the city systemic issues. And again, water, water, water. We need to take care of that. And am I aware of the issues, the finances? Galore. Can we fix it? Yes, we can. We can all make things better. Thank you.
Let's leave that
Oh, pardon
list
me.
for each
Yes.
person. Sorry about that. Thank you, Lydia. Next, we have Billy Mayfies.
All right. So, well, I ensure that City of Hayes proper audit. Well, just like everything that comes to pass, if it makes sense, right? So we just again want to be sure that we're doing everything we can for the city, for the community, for our environment to make sure that we're protected. And yes, budget is.
Billy, time? They can't hear you, sir. Talk a little louder.
Okay, my bad. Sorry. So, this, okay. Yeah, so, again, yeah, balancing a financial statement is never easy, right? And so, things get lost here and there if there's not proper checks. And so just making sure we all know where we're spending our money and how we want to spend our money is key, right? So if I'm looking at the 2020-21 real quick, and I haven't dialed into the details yet, we're very even. So how do we get that up? How do we get that down? How do we move things around? You can't do that if we don't have a solid budget, and without, an audit, that can't happen. So, it all goes to planning, and if it makes sense, yes, absolutely, for sure. But, getting those requests for proposals out is key, right? We want to make sure we're getting the right team in, the right company that really understands our situation. We don't want it to, cost an enormous amount of money and time, but we've also got to enforce it. So if we're going to say we're going to do it, we've got to do it. So as I'm coming to here, there are some issues, but issues can be fixed, right? And maybe it's time for a fresh set of eyes. So thank you.
All right, same question we're going to place 2. We're going to start with Glenelle Strawn.
If I'm elected to serve on place 2, I will ensure that Hayes will have a proper audit. I will, financials aren't my strong point, but organization is, so just making sure that we click all the boxes to make sure that we know when we need to do it, when we need to get requests for proposals out, those types of things. And to make sure, and and once we do get the audit, ensure that we follow the feedback, follow up on any issues that we see. Okay, I'm sorry. I served on the internal records review, and I did not see any issues in regards to misallocation of funds of any sort. There may have been ways that we needed to monitor or handle our financial records or to keep them that might be better, a better way to do it.
Thank you, Glenelle. Next, we have Thomas Lemon.
Yes, let's see, will you ensure that the city of Hayes will have a proper audit? And I totally agree that needs to be done. I'm sorry. Yes, I totally agree that audits are very important. I mean, there's no other way not to do it. So I agree with that. And are you aware of any issues within city records for finances? I'm not. I don't know. This hasn't been something I've come up with yet, but I hope to. It need be when I become your council person. Thank you.
All right. Let's speak up. Let's use our outdoor voices inside. Let's do it. All right. Place 3, Richard Gibb. We need to hear you in the back. All right. Place 3, Richard Gibbons. Thank you.
Kathy, give me a thumbs down if I don't talk loud enough, all right? Hook me up. All right, so yes, of course we should have an audit. Why is that a question, right? It was some oversight by previous councils that didn't have an audit done. We identified the deficiency a year ago, and we still don't have an audit. We did have a financial records review that did not reveal any misallocation of funds or any problems, anything like that. So, of course you have an audit. You pay your bills, you have an audit. It's not a big issue for the city in terms of saying, oh my God, we've misallocated funds. It's not an issue. But we do need an audit every year. I think that answers both questions.
All right. Let's move on. Moving on to question number 2. Oh, I am so sorry. I'm sorry. Next speaker, Tony Valdez. Thank you.
Thank you. Hope you guys are okay. I mean, everybody needs an audit, okay? Everybody needs an audit in the business, in the household, any household finances. You got to have an audit. You got to know where the money's going. So that's got to be done. Why it wasn't done in the last 4 years, talk to Mayor Larry, okay? Ex-Mayor Larry, I guess. All right, what I want to know is that there are issues with the system that the current mayor put in place and kept transparency hidden from us. So hopefully, if elected, we get a system in place to correct that. Thank you.
All right. Question 2. Do you support the current milestone agreement as it pertains to lot sizes, wastewater infrastructure, and environmental impacts? Please explain why or why not. All right. We are starting with Billy Mayfies.
All right, so question regarding the milestone agreement. So just looking into it, we all know that we got to be cautious with any agreement that crosses our table. At least I am. I've seen a lot of them that have been structured in a very nefarious way, just hoping to get passed. So they'll lob out whatever they can to get passed as soon as possible. Lot sizes, I've heard a lot of issues from the past, the meeting that we had last week with regards to it not conforming to our agreements and standards, our bylaws, and then we've got concerns with neighboring communities too, right? When we want to take that into account too. So I heard from Milestone that, hey, this is a great deal, let's pass it. Of course they're going to say that because they have their best interest, not really ours. They just want to get it done, make some money, and then move on to the next one. So do I want to take time to study it, look at it, and talk to everyone about it, our neighbors included? Yes, I do. I want to get their input. I want to see how it impacts not only us, but them too as well. So just want to be sure that we're within our bylaws and making sure that they're conforming to it, because this is really our agreement, right? And so they can't do this without us. The environmental impacts, yeah, there's always environmental impacts that happen in that waste treatment plant that they're proposing. Don't know enough about it. Their leach field, I commented about that. I was looking at a development plan earlier this year where they said they needed 12 acres. Turned out they needed triple that size. So that's my concern, is that 60-acre grows, and then there's just unusable land that we're not able to take into account for that development. So just making sure that we understand the whole story, and that's it.
That is time. All right. Lydia Bryan Valdez.
Thank you. So do you support the current milestone agreement as it pertains to lot sizes, wastewater infrastructure, and environmental impacts, and explain why or why not? Answer, absolutely not. The first time I read the developmental agreement that we have in place in 2013, I thought, who in the world got us into this mess? The second thought was, we're gonna need a bigger boat. It's the Jaws scene over and over. Every time I'm in the same room in negotiating these things, we're gonna need a bigger boat. We're gonna need the right team in place, and we need the correct mayor. We need good council members. We need our residents to come forward. We need experts, engineers, water experts, environmentalists. We need the right team and the right experts in place to renegotiate this agreement. I have been in contracts with the Department of Transportation, with the government for 11 years. I studied at University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley, and St. Edward's University, a paralegal program. I was educated by some amazing attorneys. I have extensive law experience and law practice as a paralegal. A disclaimer, I'm not an attorney, but I'm a contract expert. First impression of the contract, bad contract. I would love for them to follow the 1 acre minimum lot size, to follow our codes. The wastewater treatment plant, not favorable to the city in any way whatsoever. We need to respect and protect our city, our environment, and our neighbors. We cannot breathe, eat, or drink money. no matter how much money we get out of this development, and that is their goal, is to make money. I cannot breathe bleach, neither can my children or my grandchildren. Phosphorus, bleach, phosphates, all of these things that are going to be there. I cannot drink or eat sludge or sand, and we need to renegotiate the contract, and we need to avoid overdevelopment and follow all of the code. And again, we need the right team in place to do the right thing for our city. Thank you.
All right, we are going to start with Thomas Lemon.
Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit louder, thank you. Anyways, do you support the current milestone agreement as it pertains to sizes of lots? That's one of my biggest issues. You know, we've lived here for all these years. We have half acres or more here. They want to go from acre to 1/3 acre to 1/4 acre. What's going on with that? I think that's, isn't Barton Springs and wanting to keep our water systems or below ground clean? I think that's I think we do. And the same was just talking about a minute ago with their wastewater, you know, pumping it up into a 60-acre lot and then and just spraying it out there. Where's it going to go? Who's going to be breathing? Don't we have birds? Don't we have animals that live up there? They don't need this going on. And with these several hundred homes coming in there, it's going to be nothing but problems. Thank you very much.
Let's keep the card here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Hey, it's okay. All right. We all do it. Next, we have Glennon Strawn.
In regards to the smaller lots, I would have, because they are proposing some 1/4 acre and 1/3 acres, I think that would be a little small, considering most of us have at least a 1/2 acre to 1 acre properties. So I think that would create too much density. The wastewater infrastructure and environmental impacts, you know, I haven't done enough research on that to really give a good answer to that, and I would have to come back to you on that.
All right, we're at place 3, starting with Tony Valdez.
Do you support the milestone agreement? The way it is now, no. Okay? The milestone agreement is written in 2013, and part of the agreement, when I scanned it and it read, you know, if any part of the agreement is not lawful or just doesn't meet our code, then it should be struck. It won't void the agreement. And we need to follow our code. Our existing city is grandfathering with existing lots. The code, another agreement we have with the city of Austin combined require 1 acre lot sizes for the aquifer and everything else. If they bring in a sanitary system and storm sewer and utilities and underground pipes crossing the Bear Creek and the aquifer, they're going to contaminate the drinking water. All that water that's being poured on top of the surface is going to mitigate it down to our water table and going to contaminate the environment. That's why I'm opposed to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Richard Gibbons.
We don't have an agreement with Milestone. We don't have an agreement. We have an agreement with Bill Walters. And so that's what they're referring to from 2013. And I agree with the others that have expressed it. Probably not a great, it's not in the city's interest, that agreement. Walters wants to assign that to Milestone. They've asked for an assignment, and the city has not granted that. So the Milestone has come and given us a proposal, a concept. And the concept basically is they were going to put in a bunch of houses, where Walters was, hey, I'm going to put in a bunch of retail, right? That's the basic difference. And I don't support the concept that they've shared with us. I don't like it. The lot sizes are too small, and it's too dense. But the truth is, we don't have an agreement with them right now. So,
Question 3. Would you ensure that budgets and audits, agendas, and minutes are posted to the city website? What else would you change about the website? Starting with Linda Bryan Valdez. Lydia.
Can I have the question, please?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
You took it too.
Zero. That's zero.
We've all wanted to take the question with us. Would you ensure that budgets and audits, agendas, and minutes are posted to the city website? And what else would you change about the website? I would do a complete overhaul of the website. I want it to be user-friendly. I want for every resident in our city, irregardless of their tech skills. I can be high-tech, low-tech, depending on the day and what I'm looking for. So I would like for everyone to be able to click on a button that says, oh, what happened at the last minute? Where's the agenda for the last minute? Where are the meetings for the last minute? I want to do a quick overhaul of it and make it more user-friendly. It would be a plus for everyone who, if they cannot be here in person to participate, then they can have access to the information. We need to have our budgets posted. We need to have our expenditures posted. We need to have our annual balance sheet posted. These resources, which we have to be good stewards of, belong to the people of our city, and they have every right to do that. So would I change it? Completely. Make complete changes to it. There's very limited information. We're doing not even in compliance with what's required of our city, starting with, of course, the audits, so we're not in compliance with the law. We should have an annual one. We have had council members with some auditing or accounting experience who have not utilized that experience to say, hey, we require an audit. So if we have folks with accounting experience who are not aware of the fact that we need an annual audit, didn't read the website, then we do need that. We need to follow our code. We need to respect the city. We need to respect the residents of our city and be good stewards of the funding and make sure that everyone has equal access to the information that we work on and decide within the walls of what? City Hall. The city belongs to the people. We represent the people. This organization, this agency is for the city. So everyone should have access to the information. It's a given. And I would make that happen.
Billy Mayfies.
In regard to the website, I'm just happy I can pay my water bill online and not have to write a check out. So that's great in my opinion. When I'm thinking about the website and just websites in general, there's an inherent cost that comes with the maintenance of that. So just when we're talking about all of that, what comes to mind is who's going to maintain the website and post everything up there. And so if this is additional work that needs to be done, is it, more money that we're spending towards the person who is maintaining the website and posting all of this? Or is this another position that we are considering? We just want to be cognizant of that whoever takes on that responsibility can do that in an orderly and fashion, manner. I think it would be good to have some things on there. Looking around, there aren't things up, but again, we're a small community, so we are all neighbors, and things just kind of fall wayside sometimes. But I think for the most part, if you really needed something, you could just request it, right? Have you ever been turned down by a request? I know I haven't, and I've only been here for, since June of last year, but anything that I've asked for, I've gotten. So, really, if you are interested in something at this point in time, I would say ask until we can figure out what we need to do with the website and how to overhaul that and how that really impacts our budget. So again, small community, we don't have the resources of a large city that just is generating revenue on a daily basis. So that's my stance on that. Thank you.
All right, for place 2, Glenelle Strawn.
In regards to addressing updating the website, all of these things are good to have on a website so that someone can go and get it right quickly. But it's been mentioned before, updating websites involves special abilities to do it and also cost. So that would be something that we would need to measure out and evaluate. Do we want a high functioning website, or do we want clean water? Are our other infrastructure needs taken care of? The information is not hidden from people that if they want this current budget, they want spending information, our minutes, our agendas, they can request them via email or a phone call. And that's, I can't think of anything else.
Thank you. All right, Thomas Lemon.
You know, as I said in my comments during my 6 minutes, okay. During my 6 minutes, okay, in my, I spoke about citizens having every opportunity to educate themselves about what is happening, and it's the job of the council to continue to create new and better ways for information. And that's the only way that people can make up their minds what's going on or see what's going on. I mean, that's very important. And, you know, other different ways, you know, that can be done other than budgets and reports and monthly agendas, you know, that like Linda's property where this live oak disease is spreading. And I don't know if anybody knows all of that in this neighborhood, but it's happening again as it did back several years ago. But luckily it stopped, but now it's coming back. And it travels just so many feet a year, you know, from the people that live behind her. It's coming through. And that's just one small important, or very large important information that people need to know about well in advance. And that any way to share information is good information. Thank you.
All right, Richard Gibbons.
In a perfect world, we'd have a wonderful website and everything that you could ever want would be on it. In the real world, there's some other challenges. The city has one employee. One. Everything that happens in the city goes to that one employee. So when you want more things, you're adding more work to that one employee, or we got to go hire someone to do it. So that's the second piece. While a functioning website is a great thing, what's the value to the city when all of the information that you're asking about to put on the website is readily available to you right now? An email, a phone call, or come over here Monday through Friday, anytime during the day, and you can get the you can get the minutes, you can get the budget, you can get all that stuff. So, do we want to pay the cost of that? And is that the priority that the citizens want us to focus on as a council, or do you want us to address the infrastructure issues first? Right? So if you want to address infrastructures, I'm your guy. If you really want to focus on the website and ignore the infrastructure, I'm probably not your guy.
All right, Tony Valdez.
Oh, hello. I think I got a different opinions than my counterpart, Mr. Gibbons here. We need the website to show what's happening within the city, so we can show transparency to the citizens and to the residents. So, and as far as cost is concerned, is very little, and some is required to be posted anyway. It just hasn't been done, okay? And as far as the infrastructure, we'll take one little step at a time until we get it all accomplished, and it can be fixed, but we need the right team in place to get it done. Thank you.
Next question. How would you propose to increase the revenues of the city? How would you then fund necessary infrastructure? Let's start with Billy Mayfies.
All right, so some ways to increase revenues. Well, that's a very challenging topic, and I think if there were a means to do that, we'd probably already be doing that or working towards a mean. It sounds like our only stream right now is the Walter Southwest agreement, or from what I heard, some community members that have property on 1626 trying to convert their residential to commercial. So that is a challenging one, right? And so the community would like to get means of revenue, but where we're very limited and encroached on all sides by other entities, it's hard, right? And so again, companies aren't flocking here, and so we've got to structure some agreement with maybe Bill Walters, and how that is working out is just kind of in flux. Retail has its benefits. The Milestone has some benefits, but all in all, it's not 100% right. So we're kind of at a standstill, and we've got a lot of community members wondering why we can't get revenue streams, and it's just where we're at. And so if again, I would challenge the community just to say, hey, let's get involved, let's work as a team and work on this and say, hey, maybe we can do this. Throw out any ideas. Like, we want to hear ideas like from the council, and maybe start talking to other communities on how they're addressing their revenue issues if they are small communities of our size, and doing studies with them or collaborating with them and saying, hey, what have you done in the past and what's worked, what hasn't worked, and let's try to just keep moving forward and just better. Thank you.
Lydia Brian Valdez.
So the question, how do you propose to increase the revenues of the city, and how would you fund the necessary infrastructure? We currently do have a healthy balance in our accounts, which we safeguard. Can we do better? Can we be better stewards of our money? Absolutely. We can absolutely do better. The first thing you do, and my husband and I raised 9 children. I foster adopted, we had biological children, we had a blended family, and we also fostered other children at no cost to families in need as well. I can make ground beef 100 different ways, and I can feed a family of 10 at a very low cost. Can we do what we can? Initially, we need to start cost savings. We need to audit our books. We need to know how much do we have to start with. Like any budget, family, corporate, city-wise, we can do comparative analysis with us, with other cities our size, with other B cities within our surrounding areas, so that we can do lessons learned. We can do that. We have our water revenue sources. We have some tax revenue sources. We can also increase our grant applications for our funding sources. We did this last year. We said, why don't we apply for funding for our infrastructure? And we received money for our water infrastructure, which we then used for the problems that we had at hand at that time. We can continue to do that. We are all federal taxpayers, and we are not getting our fair share back for our city. We can claim those funds. We can request them and claim them so that we can improve our aging infrastructure. Now, can we do through collaborative efforts and refining our developmental agreement with Walters, can we make that so we can get either residential or more taxes through that? We can. But as I mentioned earlier, we cannot eat, breathe, or drink money. We do need the funds. We do want to maintain a quality of life for our city. If we make a mistake, it would cost us everything that we have and what our pioneer families started here for us 50 years ago, and it will quash the dreams that we have for not only for us, but for our families in the next generation. So we need to do the right thing for our city. Thank you.
All right, Thomas Lemon.
Infrastructure, we do need to keep, I don't, just me, I guess. You know, with infrastructure, you know, we have to, we just have to make us more viable. I mean, nobody wants to raise taxes or anything of those things, but we need to work on keeping our systems going and the infrastructure going, and that just, we're gonna have to work through that on council, and then that's what I'll be up for any kind of ways we can do that. Thank you very much.
Glenelle Strawn.
We do have limited income streams coming into the city. You know, our primary is the sale of water to our neighborhood and over in Elliott Ranch, the trash service, you know, property sales tax, and other, not properties, just property tax. It's my understanding that we haven't had a water rate study in quite a while, so we need to really do one of those to see whether or not we're getting the correct amount of monies for the water that we sell, both here in our neighborhood and over in Elliott Ranch. We have several property owners over on 1626 that I don't think would really, with the development along 1626, that would really want to build residential, so we need to consider when they come before us to develop commercially, that we need to really seriously consider that to give us another source of sales tax income. And as Ms. Valdez noted, to apply for grants as we see appropriate. But as you know, we can't depend on grants or federal money to be there because we have to apply and a decision is made by others outside of us, our neighborhood. Thank you.
All right, place 3, Tony Valdez.
Forgot the question here. Oh, how would you propose to increase revenue for our city? We have, like everybody mentioned, we have limited revenue. We have taxes and the sale of water. Before we can increase the revenue, we need to know what our balance sheet is. We're in the black right now, but we don't know how much we're in the black. So every time, every year, every budget year, there's money put aside. We had a road construction built on McKinnon Loop. The road was built, and the way they did it, to me, it was just a waste of money. They had 12 inches of base material in there and 2 inches of asphalt. We have rock here. We have good soil. All we needed is a mill and lower A on the mill and lower A road of the project, and it would cost probably half the cost that it cost. I think it cost $100,000. We could have done it for $50,000. And right now the road was all patched out because it cracked. So the quality of work wasn't properly supervised or not. We need to do that. We need to have somebody in the council that knows, and if you like me, I will make sure that any project we have is a good quality job that we get for our money we're paying for it. Thank you.
Richard Gibbons.
City's revenue is about $400,000 a year. Our expenses are about $400,000 a year. So think about your own budget, right? It's the same thing. The challenge is if you spend everything you make, then there's nothing available for an emergency. It has to come out of savings. So the state, when we want to pave a road, it's got to come out of savings. When the state told us we had to have generators to put at the water plants, you know, that's $125,000. That has to come out of savings. Eventually, you run out of savings. So what do, right? Well, what are the revenue sources for the city, right? Grants is one, but you can't rely on that because you don't know if you're going to get it. So we have water sales, which generates about 60%, like $250,000 of our revenue comes from water. Last year, I proposed we do a water rate study to find out because the water system needs to pay for itself. So the council said, nope, we don't want a water. In fact, not only do we not want a water rate study, we're going to table and say we're not going to have any discussion of increasing the city's revenue, right? So that's one option, water rate study. Your other option is sales tax. By the way, our property tax is 4% of the city budget. It's like $17,500, $18,000. Property tax does not generate much for the city, but sales tax is an opportunity. Development on 1626 is already happening, right? And where Bill Walters is building, it's going to happen there. So it's incumbent upon the city to manage that well. So grants, water, sales tax. Those are your three options for the city to significantly increase its revenue. Thank you.
All right. Next question. How will you protect citizens from increased property overvaluation as real estate speculators continue to buy up properties in Hays City and ETJ and then flip or turn into office space or Airbnbs? We're going to start with Lydia Bryan Valdez.
I'm going to repeat the question, if I may, before the clock starts. How will you protect citizens from increased property overvaluation as real estate speculators continue buying up properties in Hays City and ETJ, then flipping and turning into office space or Airbnbs? We currently have one developer within our city who is gobbling out property at a steady rate to the tune of 5, I believe. When my husband and I first bought our property, a current council member came to us, and it almost looked like we were being vetted to purchase our property, and said, if you come here, is this going to be your primary residence? What do you have plans for this? If you ever sell, can you give one of the residents in our city first right of refusal? Because our pioneers started this city 50 years ago. We incorporated 40 years ago. It's a mom and pop, close-knit, family community. Everyone has children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren who would love to come here where their families were raised. And I do believe that that's the right thing. I'm not saying that we cannot sell to outsiders. I would love for people to be have good intent when they come here so that we don't all have, we right now know one another. You can ask anyone who served and lived here a long time, who lives at this house, who lives at that house? And we all know. Now we just have passersby every 3 or 4 days coming through, people that we don't know are coming here. Will it generate some tax revenue? Yes, it will. Will we lose what we have right now as the mom and pop Mayberry that was established by our founding cities, by our founding residents? Absolutely. If we continue to do that, that's what happens. Now, the valuation processes, we don't have control of the valuation that comes from the county, but we can protect each one of our properties and have either an unwritten rule as what was presented to us when we first started. Now, the Airbnb situation, we currently do not have a code for that. Opposing the Airbnb situation, we did peruse that when we found out that we were going to have an Airbnb in our city, but we could potentially review that again, bring it up to council.
Billy Mayfies.
Yeah, so I think not only our community, but every community like in Austin, around surrounding Austin is seeing this. We've got a lot of companies moving in, a lot of people moving in, and they've got a lot of money. So what do they want to do is buy land, buy property, flip homes, demolish, these beautiful homes that have been here since, the 70s, 60s. And it's hard. And, our home is a flip. And that's just how things are coming along in Austin. And it's hard. It's a hard change for sure. I think if generally the consensus is to limit these speculative homes turning into Airbnbs, the first thing is to change some codes. I mean, I certainly don't want to see a whole row of cars coming in and out because that becomes, somewhat dangerous for a community, right? And so we don't know what's going on in those homes. We generally want to say that everyone's being nice and pleasant and just coming to see Texas. But we don't know that, right? And are we seeing any returns on the Airbnb? I don't know. Maybe we can work something out if that does become more of an issue. Certainly, again, I don't want that to happen in our neighborhood. But turning things into offices, if it's like they're private offices, maybe we should talk about how things are structured and if we get any sales taxes from their companies. But it's hard to say because, some people just won't let us know. And again, so it's just coming to an agreement with council and just writing new codes and just making sure that we're all in agreement on those terms. Thank you.
Glenelle Strawn.
I'll start with the second question first. As far as real estate valuations, our little city doesn't have any say in how much the county appraises a piece of property for. And increased valuation is not a bad thing. Our home is for most of us, it's our largest asset. And as we see improvement in the community, it raises the value of our property so that in the event that we need to move, if something happens that we're required to move, that would be a boon and a benefit for us. Of course, we don't want to, we do want to be careful as citizens to vet maybe motives for people coming in to buy our property. But again, each individual citizen has the right to determine what they do with their own property. Thank you.
Thank you. Thomas Lemon.
Yeah, so this is all about valuation. We all kind of agree that we're not really in control of this. It's all through the county. And it's scary to me in a way that we have people that have lived in their homes for 30, 40, 50 years, and then their taxes go up, and they can't even afford to live in their hometown, basically. So I agree with the codes. We could try to control them that way. I don't know how that would work. And home buying it's going to level off. It's going to come back down at some point. But in the meantime, we just have to pay pay our taxes and just hopefully that it can be controlled at some point. Thank you.
Thank you. Richard Gibbons.
Well, as you know by now, the city has nothing to do with property evaluations. That's set by the county, right? So right now, our property tax is roughly 4% of our budget. If you divide it by the 90 or so homes that we have in the neighborhood, you spend about $200 a year. On average, $200 of your property tax comes to the city of Hays. So it's not very much, right? So there's not anything we're going to do about the evaluations. And the amount of tax we collect is so small in terms of the bigger picture. What we do in terms of modifying our tax rate won't have an appreciable difference on what you're paying in property tax. So it's a two-edged sword, right? We in the state don't have a state sales tax, so we collect tax on property. And everybody likes when their house goes up in value and they sell it and they have that big boost, capital gain, right? But no one wants to pay more taxes while they're living in that house before they sell it. So that's a two-edged sword, but that's the way our tax system is set up. So the last thing I would tell you is we've had this discussion over the last few months about property rights, right? And we're all about property rights. Okay, well, what do you want to allow your neighbors to do on their property? You want to allow them to have an Airbnb, right? Or do you want to take those property rights away from people? Now, we do have codes that say you can't run a commercial business out of your house. Even though we have people violating that, our code is you can't do that, right? So the probability of someone, right, if someone is doing that, running a business, then it's up to the city to find out and then say, hey, you're violating a code, you can't do that, and get our attorneys involved if we need to. But you got to get that balance. Got to get that balance of what do you allow people to do in their properties under the current code. Do you want to be able to do what you want to do with your property, or should I be able to tell you what you can do with your property? That's the balance we have to get. Thank you.
Tony Valdez.
Okay, it's my turn and I'm not going to repeat the same thing. You know, the county is responsible for evaluations. My only thing that I would try to help the residents is we live in a fixed income and they're elderly and do an exception on paying their taxes to the city. If their house goes down, then if you're a certain age, then we can exempt your taxes and increase your exemption on the taxes so you can keep your home and not lose your taxes. Thank you.
All right, guys, we're nearing the end. This is the very last question. Yeah. I guess we have opinions on that. All right. What are your goals for the city's future? And we are going to start with Billy Mayfies.
So number one goal for the city's future is to be a united city, right? So we can't do anything if people are bickering and people are fighting and people aren't on the same page. I think that's most important, and that's, you know, in any walks of life, just being united front, right? So it's going to be hard to do things that make sense for the city if there's disagreements. And I'm not saying that you can't have disagreements. Everyone's welcome to their opinions, but, you know, at the end of the day, we need to move forward at some capacity, and it's how you do it. And in the end, we all see each other. We all live in this neighborhood, and we should all be neighborly to each other. So that's number one for us. And then, you know, trying to figure out, you know, what's best in terms of making additional revenue, water, right? So just getting the water under control and, you know, just making sure that, I guess, we figure out, you know, what's the best process of doing that. And, you know, no one likes fighting and no one likes, you know, bickering. And I certainly don't want that to happen. And so, you know, just pulling everyone together and just getting your thoughts and just making sure that, hey, does this make sense, is what I really want. So, you know, we've all got grandchildren, children, we've all live here, and at the end of the day, we see each other. So, you know, let's not make this a combative neighborhood. Let's be united. So that's what my goal is.
Lydia Bryan Valdez.
What are your goals for the city's future? To protect our little honey pot, to protect that property and that neighborhood and that close-knit neighborhood that we so fell in love with when we first saw the property. For us, 5 years ago, and for many of the folks in this room, 40, 50, 30, 25 years ago, is to protect that, For the city's future, we have to renegotiate the developmental agreement so that it's favorable to the city. I understand, this is America, everyone wants to do, free enterprise and things like that. There's growth that's coming, it's inevitable, but we can protect our city, we can do the right thing. We must do the right thing. And I'll echo Billy, no one likes fighting. I personally would like people's input. I would treasure their input. I would not pass a restrictive ordinance that's gonna take someone's land without asking them. I would not do that to someone. It's your property, it's your greatest asset, it's your pride and joy, it's your home, it's your treasure for your children. It's what you get up for and you work every single day. I know that's what we do. We work so hard. My husband and I have worked for a lifetime since we were young to have this little piece of Americana here and to have this closeness community. Someone asked me the other day, describe your city. I said, heaven on earth. It's beautiful. We have beautiful people, well-educated people, UT, St. Ed's, Baylor, folks from all over, and the common man who's worked so hard to live his American dream and to make it for us. We need to protect that. There's a developer. We need that big boat. They're gonna make mega $1 million. We can have some of the money for taxes, but in exchange for what? We're gonna lose all of our native wildlife. We're gonna contaminate our environment. Our water, which is essential for life, should not be sold to the highest bidder. I do not want to breathe bleach, phosphorus. I do not want that to damage our ecosystem. I drive by this every day, and it's absolutely gorgeous, and let's protect it. Thank you.
For seat 2, Thomas Lemon.
You know, we've lived here for so many years, and I agree that it's a really safe place to live. And I would tell that to anybody. When we first moved here, there was many more children here. This is a very young place to live. A lot of young adults, as Teresa and I are, and we just, I just want to keep it the same that way. It's just pretty simple, just we get to know each other, and I totally agree with this gentleman that we need to work together, not be fighting with each other. I mean, there's no reason for that. And then just watching anything that's going on like Milestone, just trying to keep them at bay as we can, and just continue living in this town. That's all I have to say.
Glenelle Strawn.
As everyone else, I have loved living in this neighborhood, and as I said earlier, has been a great place to live and to raise my children. And I want families that move in, to have that same experience. We need to, a primary importance of what I would see is getting our water issue taken care of, making sure that we're sound on that, because water is life. If we don't have water, everything goes, we can't, property values go down, it decreases value. And also too, just a feeling of community, that we work with each other to work out, we may disagree, but let's come to a conclusion, an agreement on things. Thank you.
All right, moving on to seat 3, Tony Valdez.
Okay, what are your goals for the city future? Number one goal, when I'm elected and I'm serving, is to make the city sustainable. Make sure the developer agreements are renegotiated. Make sure that our aquifer and water is protected, and ensure that our infrastructure is done and paid for in a engineering way that we can save money when we do it. Thank you.
All right, Richard Gibbons, you're up.
I'm the only thing standing between you and getting out of here. All right? I got 2 minutes. All right, here we go. Shake and bake. I tell people this is my favorite place I've ever lived in Texas. It's not my favorite house, but it is my favorite place. And there's some qualities about our city that we all love. And every one of us, of these candidates, wants to do what's right for our city. They want to see our city protected. They want to see us taken care of, all of us. We have some different ideas about how to do that. So for me, nothing stays the same. There's growth, and growth will continue to happen, right? It just, things are going to change over time. So it's incumbent upon your council to adapt and manage that to best serve the needs of the city and its residents. So for me, what I would say for the city is we need to get on a fiscally sound basis, because I've talked about it before, we're not fiscally sound, right? And we get on a fiscally sound basis going forward, we also need to fix that infrastructure, because that infrastructure is what makes part of our life here so good. And without that infrastructure, the quality of life here goes way down. Those are my priorities, right? And that's it. Thanks.
All right. This concludes the forum. Yay! I invite you to please stay, mingle, speak with your candidates.